Alexander had beaten kings, empires, deserts, and fear itself. Then the insects came. Not from nature, not from the gods, but from a future no army could understand. In the summer of 334 BCE, the Macedonian army marched toward the Granicus River. They expected Persian spears, chariots, and cavalry charges. They expected death, yes, but death they could face. What they did not expect was the sky itself turning against them. A swarm of tiny machines, silent, swift, unrelenting. A new predator hovering just above the horizon. At first, the soldiers thought them strange birds, or some divine omen. The men tightened their shields, squinting against the sun, and laughed nervously at the sky. But Alexander, ever curious, knew fear when he felt it. His eyes caught the shimmer of movement, unnatural, precise, and countless. These were no arrows. No formations of men could face them. Each drone was a miniature harbinger, striking with surgical precision. Horses panicked, cavalry faltered. Archers found their quivers useless against the sudden invisible threat overhead. Panic rippled like fire through ranks that had conquered the world. Alexander, the man who stood atop empires, faced a problem no battle had ever prepared him for. His phalanx, perfectly drilled and impenetrable in the known world, became a labyrinth of confusion and terror. The drones moved with intelligence. They attacked supply wagons, scorched siege engines, and disrupted communication. Spears became irrelevant, shields were meaningless. But Alexander did not falter. He moved to the front, shouting commands, trying to impose order on chaos the world had never seen. His companions who had marched across deserts and rivers, through storms and blood, looked to him for certainty. Yet even the greatest general in history could not understand the nature of this invisible enemy. The Persian commanders, meanwhile, stared at the Macedonians in disbelief. They did not know whether to charge or flee. From their vantage, it looked as if the heavens themselves had chosen sides. No chariots, no cavalry could meet this storm. And yet, this was the moment Alexander thrived. He adapted, as he always did. He ordered feints, distractions, and traps. Soldiers with shields improvised cover, luring drones toward false targets. Archers aimed at the reflections, trying to trick machines that could not bleed. Horses were driven into formations to create chaos within the swarm itself. It was a battle not of brute force, but of psychology. Survival meant understanding something entirely alien. By nightfall, the battlefield was unrecognizable. Scorched earth, burning wagons, and a haze that smelled of oil and metal filled the air. Macedonians huddled, tending wounded, and counting the cost of a fight they had never imagined. The drones, tireless, hovered at a distance, observing, probing, retreating only to attack again at dawn. The psychological impact was staggering. Soldiers whispered of demons, gods, and punishment for hubris. Some fell to fear, others to delirium. Even the men who had crossed deserts and toppled empires questioned their courage. Alexander himself understood that this was more than a battle. It was a lesson in humanity's fragility, a glimpse of a future war the world could not yet conceive. And then, the next day, the swarm attacked again. Only now, Alexander had begun to learn. He used terrain, rivers, and sun angles to create blind spots. Cavalry moved in predictable patterns. Ranged weapons were repurposed, burning swaths of land to force drones into predictable paths. Slowly, he turned the swarm's precision against itself, creating chaos in the enemy's invisible force. But even in victory, the lesson remained. Alexander could fight any army. He could outmaneuver any general. Yet this was different. Technology without precedent, intelligence without heart, and an enemy whose nature was unknowable. It was not death as he knew it. It was evolution. The Persians retreated, terrified by a Macedonian army they thought already unstoppable, yet now twisted into something both human and cunning in the face of the impossible. Alexander had survived. He had adapted. But the sky held secrets his era could not comprehend. The swarm receded, leaving questions that would echo across centuries. What is war when the battlefield itself has learned? In the end, Alexander did what he always did. He pressed forward, relentless, seeking knowledge and conquest. But the men who survived that day carried a shadow in their hearts, a memory of invincible insects, a war with no touch, no blood, no face. They learned fear in its purest, most abstract form. History as they knew it, fractured. Myths were born to explain the impossible. Stories of gods with wings, spirits in the air, punishment from unseen hands. Alexander wrote new rules that day, not of empire, but of survival. Civilizations could rise and fall, but the sky, whatever came from the future, remained unconquered. And the truth lingered in silence. For all his genius, all his victories, Alexander could not claim dominion over the swarm.
He could fight, adapt, and survive, but he could not understand it fully, and perhaps that was the ultimate lesson. Some battles are not won with swords, shields, or courage. Some battles remind us that the sky itself can change the fate of men.